Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. And today I'm here with a solo episode. Now, this episode has been brewing for quite some time, off the back of speaking with a lot of you guys and understanding what this podcast brings to your life as a bodybuilder. It really has hit me in the feels, and I've been thinking a lot about what I want to talk about in this episode. And if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen some stories recently and some thought processes that I'm sharing with you guys around external pressure, how bodybuilding can truly change your life, how influences in this space can cause confusion and detriment, and many, many things that can really add to an overwhelming pressure on ourselves. And it's important for me always to be authentic, honest, and truthful. And that is always my biggest priority with the podcast and with my social media. And I feel like I want to give a shout out to Sarah, who listens to the podcast, because this has been part of the reason of recording today with what bodybuilding brings me and what ultimately it will bring a lot of you that listen to the podcast. And Sarah actually asked off the back of one of my stories yesterday, how did I deal with mentally when I ended up with my arm in a sling 4 weeks out in my last competitive season? And it's quite hard to put into words how mentally we can get through these things, right? And for me, myself, pretty much every prep, and I almost expect it coming, right around 4 to 6 weeks out, something quite substantial will happen. And what I sort of came to the summary of, the conclusion of, was that bodybuilding means so much to me that actually, and this is a big relevant point for anyone listening, things that occur in a prep, that gives substance to your story. This is your journey and this is nobody else's. Yes, we have a coach that guides the way, unless you coach yourself. However, guys, it's you doing the work day in, day out to get the result, whether you're in off season, whether you're in prep, whatever phase you're in, it's all boiling down to your daily actions and intentions that get you to that goal. And when I reflect back to these challenges that do occur, it's wild, because until we're out of a prep scenario and we look back, we don't often give ourselves the credit for what we actually do as competitors. And for sure, a lot of you will resonate with this, because it's so true that we're pushing through crazy things that happen across all of the phases and we still get the job done. And why is that? If you're of a similar mindset to myself, because the passion burns so bright and bodybuilding brings so much to your life that there is no other option. And when I spoke about this 4 weeks out scenario, again, wild when I look back, but it was 4 weeks out, and the mission was at hand. And I woke up in the night with severe pain, and I can tolerate a fair amount of pain. And this was next level, right? Now, bearing in mind, guys, when we're 4 weeks out, we're often, we're digging, yeah? And it's a lot to ask of ourselves, both mentally and physically. And I woke up with this pain and it was like, fuck, what is going on? So woke Matt up. I did contemplate sneaking out of bed and just going to the hospital on my own, but I woke Matt up, did the sensible thing. And he went to get in the car 4:30 in the morning. And I was like, absolutely not. I know in my heart that I'm going to be told to rest when I go to the hospital. I'm going to potentially be put on high levels of painkillers, and that may affect what I can do for the rest of the day. So we walked to the hospital, 4:30 in the morning, pitch black, so I could get my steps done. So I knew, again, if we were waiting for ages, right, I needed those boxes to be ticked. For me, myself, I have to do that. I have to do that. And it was terrible, the pain that I was in. But it gives an example of what we do when we are leading into stepping on stage. Because when we step on stage, if we have not ticked our boxes, that's on us, right? And this is where there is going to be different mindsets. And we have to be honest with ourselves in regards to all of the phases. Is bodybuilding the right path for us? Now, the thing is here, guys, sometimes something's going to happen that for sure is a reason where we maybe need to pull out of a prep. And that is not me saying, that you should go to hospital, you should do your steps, and you should still do the prep and step on stage. But it gives an example of the things that we do, and we don't give ourselves credit for those things because we're so autonomous on this journey that we often bypass the things that we're asking of ourselves. And in that circumstance, for sure, I could still get the job done. Yes, I was in a lot of pain. I had painkillers and various other things were happening, but I did not miss a beat around that. I adapted my training. I did what I needed to do. And when we do face these challenges, it is for sure on us to honestly go inside and understand, is this the right path? Can I still, with whatever has happened, still do my best to get to stage? And is that enough? Because it might be that something happens that actually you're realizing that it's the time where this is not the right time to be prepping. This is a time to step back. And I know many athletes that have needed to do this in order to go into a phase where we look at health, where we then potentially look at a growth phase, and then we go back into a prep from a better standpoint. And really, is there the perfect scenario to start a prep? That's, it's one of those things, guys, because in off season, we are still pushing. We are tanking our CNS system from training hard, from doing things that still come with an extreme nature. So is there the perfect time to prep? Maybe, maybe not. That's going to be down to you as an individual. But it just reminds me as well that for you guys that reach out, for the people that I speak to on a daily basis, and this has picked up momentum over the years of doing the podcast, a lot of you entrust me with many of the challenges you face, and that is dear in my heart, right? People, you guys reaching out and saying, this has happened, can I speak with you about it? And absolutely, I want to support you guys because this is what, one of the reasons why I started the podcast, to be someone that you can rely on, someone that you can trust in, and someone that understands. And I truly, truly understand, because many of you will be listening right now, and bodybuilding is your everything, and it is my everything. It truly, truly is. And that's beyond stepping on stage and gaining accolades, right? Yes, we go into competition to win. Of course we do. I mean, some of you, maybe you just want to step on stage and that's your goal. But generally speaking, if you stick to this for a long period of time, and even from the start, if you're a competitive person, you're going in to win, because that's what a competition is. And nothing takes away from that. However, if bodybuilding is your life, if it's your purpose, if it gets you out of bed in the morning, that runs deep. That's deeper than an accolade. And it's so fulfilling to hear you guys gaining so much from the episodes, from the guests I have on, from what I'm doing with Sarah and Romana, from all of the episodes where I can get guests on to talk about their journey and to give you true insight and education into bodybuilding. And it still overwhelms me at times that you guys can come to me with everything that you're coming to me with, all of the things you're facing, and actually say, the podcast is changing my life, because this is what I could only ever dream of, right? And that's my reality. And even that in itself, if your dreams are to pursue bodybuilding, to maybe gain accolades, maybe it is to step on stage, maybe it is to gain a pro card, all of these things, That requires a lot from you. And if anything in this podcast, guys, I want to express for you to just take a moment. If you're listening, maybe you're on the dreaded Stairmaster, maybe you're out getting some steps, maybe you're just cleaning the house, whatever it is you're doing right now, taking a moment to go, fuck, what I'm doing is pretty epic. What I'm doing is me pouring my whole life into something that has come into my life that brings me that purpose. And this is where I have so much passion to spread messages to you guys through my social media and through the podcast, to actually take that moment. And remember, when you are following people, when you're reading things, when you're watching YouTube videos with what may seem conflicting information, with potentially influencers or things that are put out that make you feel like you're not doing good enough, or maybe you're questioning your own protocol, or any of the things that can cause detriment to your mental health, reining it back to, this is your journey and nobody else's. Yes, we can be inspired by other people for sure. That's something that I promote, being able to look at others and think, wow, what they've achieved. Maybe you look at people's physiques and that gives you inspiration. But remembering you are a unique individual is super, super important. And when you do face conflict, and that doesn't mean someone attacking you, this could be conflict in your own mind from the content you consume, or maybe people around you, what they say. Are you truly doing everything in your power? Are you? And if you are, that is literally all you can do. And that is not a throwaway comment, right? But let's think about this, guys. If you're a bodybuilder and that runs deep, like it's, and I often say this, if you cut me, my blood type is BB. If you feel so passionate about this journey, there are times where we need to discipline ourselves to cut out the external noise. And I did a story on this the other day. If you can master the art of cutting out the external noise, of adhering to your plan and executing your plan to the best of your ability, that is where we can see the champion mindset at its best. When you are so insular and so proud of what you're doing, and you go, do you know what? Fuck that noise. Get it away from me. This is me. This is me and my coach. Or like I say, if you coach yourself, perhaps you have a circle of people helping you. You go into that tunnel vision, and that in itself is success. It truly, truly is. Because your social media, your content you consume, that's up to you. You get to search the things that you want to. You get to watch people's stories that you want to. And if there's points where you're watching people, you're looking at content, you're almost addicted to looking at people that are facilitating a negative response in your own mind, this is where we have to foresee what detriment and damage this is doing to ourselves. And this is where the discipline comes in. Is this serving me? Because if it's not, we have to make a decision, right? Is this something that I want to continue consuming, or is it going to be something that over time runs you down? Is it something that's making you doubt yourself, question your self-belief? Because the path to self-belief can often be a lot of different things, but someone believing in you, but you believing in yourself, of course. And how do we facilitate that? And in my mind, if I look at every single day, am I living as a bodybuilder? Yes, I am. Do I have goals in place? Yes, I do. Do I have content that people that I follow, stories that I watch, that provide positive empowerment? Yes. So those three things, right? every day I'm surrounded by positives. So, as I was talking about challenges at the start, when I face a challenge, I can look up at any time in my day and I can go, I'm grateful for where I am. And that spans across my whole life. My life is built for bodybuilding, and that brings out the best in me, and that facilitates me doing my best as a coach and as a podcast host. Because when we find our passion that burns bright, if we commit to that, if it's truly, truly everything we want, if we pour into that, we are our best self, right? If I neglect myself, that's then harder for me to be my true self, for me to fire on all cylinders. And that's where we then need to think about everything around us, but also having our boundaries in place and what truly brings the best out in you, right? Is it that you can tickle your boxes, that you can have a happy home life, that you go to a gym that you enjoy, and the community, the atmosphere lends itself to bringing you into your best self? Is it the people you speak to? Do they empower you? Do they bring something to your life? Then the challenges occur and it's like, I've got this. I know I've got this. And there's something within us when we have found our passion and we pour into that, that helps us get through these challenges, everything we face. And that includes making decisions on your path as a bodybuilder. Because as I've mentioned, there are times where we might need to pull out of a certain point of our phase. That could be prep, or like my own example with having surgery earlier in the year, I couldn't be able to train as I would in my growth phase if that surgery didn't happen. But what I needed to do is reroute and be able to find different things that motivate me to continue. Because when we visit these dark places, guys, and I know many of you have experienced trauma, have experienced the dark places that we visit as human beings. Bodybuilding can be that thing that gets you through. And it's then, again, something that I'm passionate about when I see on social media people that bash bodybuilding, people that say negative things about what we're doing, whether that's personal attacks about your physique or your progress, whether that's bodybuilding is a food disorder covered up, whether that's bodybuilding is obsessing over scale weight. The things that are thrown out, do you have to eat that? All of those things, that then causes detriment to something I'm passionate about. And it's very difficult for me to see people in the space essentially bashing what I see you guys doing, what I do on a daily basis. Because yes, of course, when we get into bodybuilding, we're going to face potentially things happening that exhibit food pathologies, that exhibit obsession over scale weight, tracking food, all of these things that we try and control. Yes, it can exhibit those things. I've been there, guys, with many of these things that can occur. However, what I would say is I'm living proof that the reason a lot of these things were exacerbated were because I cared. And for me, control is a thing. Like, I want to control everything. And that is because before bodybuilding, I had zero control in my life. Through all of the things that I've faced as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, I was never in control. I had nothing at times in my life. And when I found bodybuilding, that's where I wanted to excel. I wanted to pour everything into it. And for those first 5 years of not placing, of, really having to fucking grind for 5 years, day in, day out, every fucking day, I wanted it so bad that I knew if I'd gone into the season, the first season I gained success as a competitor, If I couldn't gain success, did I need to find something else, right? So that's where that obsessive controlling nature came from, wanting to do my best and prove to myself that I could call myself a competitor, right? Even the fact of people would say to me, "Oh, do you compete?" And I'd be like, yeah, and change the subject because I hadn't won a show. I didn't feel good enough. For sure, I didn't feel good enough. I'd see people around me, I'd see people, winning shows, and I'd think, I'm never going to be like that. And then guess what? It happened. And the reason it happened is because the self-belief came and it changed the game for me. It truly changed the game because I knew going into that season, it was like, this could be me having to just admit that this is not the sport for me. I'm not good enough. Now, that is not me basing everything on accolades. That's me basing this in a logical mind that what we do in a prep, it is not healthy and it is extreme. Yes, we can do it in the healthiest way possible, but look at what we do in a prep, right, guys? We're in a severe deficit. We're essentially over exercising to get as lean as possible for stage. Now, when you go into the depths, this is where I say it is extreme. And I knew myself, if I kept doing this and it was just to turn up and I wasn't being able to get that podium finish or even win a show, should I be looking at something else? Because by that point, I'd done 3 preps. The third one, I got 6th place. So I got that like, whoa, I got 6th place after the first 2 seasons of getting fuck all. Maybe this is a thing. And there was so much lying on that 4th season because would I have to maybe live as a lifestyle bodybuilder, which was absolutely fine. However, I'd competed. So that would be very, very difficult for me. I am competitive and I wanted it so much. And for me, I got to that point. So what did I do? I actually had a client that had a very high level of essentially education in mindset. And we spoke a lot about manifestation and actualization and how athletes become successful through mindset. Now, again, you might listen, it might not be your vibe, but for me, this changed the fucking game because I remember it was like probably September, October, and I was due to compete in the April. I'd started the prep and, I had these thoughts and feelings. I opened up to my client about this and it was a PT client. So we'd spend one-to-one time. And he said, let's do this exercise. And I know I've mentioned this previously on a pod, but some of you guys might be new listeners. And I know this is very, very, very valuable. So we went to the park. We used to do walking together as well because he had a few health concerns where sometimes we couldn't do gym work. So we'd go for a walk. So we got to the park and I stood on one side of the path and he stood on the other side of the path. And he said, I want you to close your eyes and walk towards me and imagine the crowd cheering and imagine that you've won a show. Imagine what that would feel like. Actually replicate what that would look like and feel like in my mind walking forward towards him. So we did that exercise and fuck me, I was like, shit, that's what it feels like to win a show. And this, bearing in mind, guys, this was so far out of reach for me. Getting that top 6 was success in itself. And I suddenly felt like I'm going to win a show. Now, this is the difference between manifestation and being delusional and manifestation and hard work. I absolutely, in every single prep, have stuck to the plan to the letter and beyond. Trust me when I say that. I've never ever put a foot out of line. If anything, there's been points where I've tried to do more to facilitate a positive response in a prep. So the work is there. So can I manifest? Can I actualize? Can I believe? Yes, I can. So from that moment, every night before bed, I spent time laying in my bed, visualizing and feeling what that would be to win a show. And it was real. It was so real. I'd go to bed every night winning a show. So the prep went on, and I got to the day or the day before, went for my tan. I saw so many people, and I want this to be something you guys take on board when we're talking about show day, when it's around that day. I had no makeup on, had my jogging, my joggers on and my t-shirt, had a hoodie on, as we do for tanning, right? And I saw so many people flapping around with hair and makeup done, talking to everyone. And in my mind, yes, we can talk to people, right? We don't need to be completely antisocial. But this was an observation of mine, and I've seen this many times, where as an athlete, if you're using all your energy to chit chat to people, to do your hair and makeup the night before, to, use the energy that's coming from the additional food going in, which is not much energy when you've done a prep, guys. And I know it can feel like it is, but the food is there to obviously bring you to your best on show day. If you're using all of that for, in my mind, almost pointless activities, you're using what may be required for your performance. And this is, again, what's the athlete mindset, right? Tunnel vision. So I'm there, headphones in, listening to some grime, hoodie up, and I'm there thinking, I've fucking got this. I have got this. I'm gonna win this fucking show. Have my tan, and you do look around, right? Of course we do. And I saw some sick physiques there in my category, and I thought, okay, I've got to work here. This is not an easy show. But what are we there to do, guys? We're there to work. So went back to my hotel. The night before a show is hella boring, right? Because your tan needs to stay as pristine as possible. You got nothing to do. You're pretty much resting, doing some check-ins, everything's sort of okay. This is a bit boring compared to what I do in a normal day. However, think about this, guys. You're filling up your battery for your performance. You've done this whole prep to then step on stage. And although it can only be 5 to 10 minutes, there are shows that you're on stage for longer. And that's going to depend on the federation, the lineup, the show timings, and how that show has gone. So being prepared to potentially be on stage for longer, I feel is an opportunity to go, okay, so what if I am going to need to be there longer? Also, if your federation does an overall, that is going to be later on. Your category might be earlier on. So you're saving energy, right? You're filling up your battery for whatever performances you need to do on that show day. So show day morning, we're there, we're conserving energy, guys. Again, you can be friendly, you can make friends. But I feel like there's a fine line. If we are putting too much energy out into other people, are we going to have enough for when we step on stage? And that's something personally I feel. Now, again, guys, this is up to you. This is your journey, your story, your stage day. And this is important because this is not me saying that you have to do what I say or, it's wrong if you don't. But I want you to think about this because you've put so much into this. If you are using your social battery around this time, around this day, that may take away from what you can bring to stage. It also may leave you a little bit sometimes anxious, overwhelmed, questioning yourself if you're looking at too many different physiques on the day. What I personally do is I stay in my own lane. So I'll say hello to people, cool, that's absolutely fine. What I also do is put my bikini on close to when I'm on stage. So I've seen this a lot when people are in the bikini category, which is due to be on at say 4 p.m. and they've got their bikini on at like 10 a.m. Again, are we maybe putting this on too early and stepping into that show day, what we're going to bring to stage 6 hours out? Could we be saving that energy and be in total sloth mode apart from doing our check-ins on the day and eating our food, being in that zone and just being insular, saying hello to people, being, friendly at times, but essentially not using too much of that energy, which is for that stage performance. Now, if you find yourself looking at other people, again, could that be adding to taking away from your performance? Because remember this for me, guys, that show that I've spoken about before, where I won my Miss Universe qualification by 1 point, was because my posing was better. So I look at this, the second place, her physique, and I think she's got a good physique. She has got a good physique. But I didn't let that get in my head. We got on stage and I outposed her essentially. So I won that qualification and I won that show. And that was my most competitive lineup yet. If I had let that get inside my own head, that she had a really good physique, that I had no chance, could that have let me drop the ball, doubt myself, and then not win that show? Yes, for sure. Now, when we look at it, right, are we matching the criteria? So is your physique where it needs to be is going to contribute here? If it is, if you are competitive, own that shit. If you're stepping on stage and maybe you still need some years in the game, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? You've heard my story here. 5 years before I had a chance. But if you are competitive, if you have landed your physique where it needs to be, if your coach is saying, yep, we're exactly where we need to be, and we're truthful here, right? If we're where we need to be, do not forget that in itself. You are where you need to be. If you have practiced your posing to the nth degree and that is a habit, if you have stuck to your plan throughout your prep to the letter, it's time to fucking own it. Now, if you're not quite there yet, if you know you need a growth phase, if you need more time in the sport, you still fucking own it, guys, because this is the acknowledgement to where you are at as an athlete, and that's important. Yes, we can pay a coach to guide the way, but if you're in this for the long haul, if you are an athlete, it's about being honest with your expectations, and that's a two-way street with your coach. If your expectations are to go in to win, then you should have a competitive physique, right? If your expectations are, I probably need more time in the sport, but I'm here, I've completed the prep, I'm going to see how I fare, this is going to construct my off season, we go in with that expectation to actually do our best. Now, you might find, guys, that perhaps you feel you need more time in the game, but you still win the show. You never know who's going to turn up. And this is the thing, right, with a subjective sport. And it's important to remember that we all have a chance here. Trust me, I've thought many, many times that maybe I would never win a show. Maybe I would need to give up bodybuilding and find something else. But this is where it comes back to that self-belief, right? And those managing of expectations combined, that is where we find that success. Now, if you're competitive, you've done everything to the letter, and you still don't get that podium finish or the win, what are the next steps as a competitor? What are we looking at needing to do in our next phase? Or do we need to change category? Do we need to change federation? Do we need to be more realistic with the federations we choose? These types of conversations are for you and your coach to have. But again, are we truly sticking to the plan? And can we believe in ourselves more to actually tip that balance into having more of a shot at getting that podium finish or getting that win? And it's super important that within ourselves, we find the passion for bodybuilding, the honesty that we are literally sticking to the plan to the letter, and the coach-client relationship. That is big. That is big, unless, of course, you are coaching yourself. When we combine all of these things, and back to the external influence of what we consume, what content we see, all of these things all combine to where you're going to find yourself at all points on this journey. Because those challenges I've spoken about, that could also include not getting a podium finish, not winning a show. If you expected that you were competitive and you were in with a shot, Maybe you weren't the most competitive on the day. How do we deal with that? We reflect back and we go, I've done everything in my power. What do I need to do to improve? What do I need to do to be more competitive and be in with a shot to get that podium or get that win? Or do we need to be realistic to our expectations of our physique, our genetics, our sporting background, if we're using PEDs or not, what federations we're choosing? Do we need to change the game, right? And this is important. And hopefully you can speak with your coach about this, because that's also important to have that bond and have that guidance in a realm like bodybuilding. But all of these things I'm talking about, guys, as I said to you, I've been thinking about this episode for a while. And for sure, it's a bit of a brain dump. But this is for you. This one is for you. I know that you guys appreciate, generally speaking, the people I speak to, my rambles and how my brain works, how I view the world and how I view bodybuilding. And what I want to finish on is that external pressure that can really cause detriment to you. So I've spoken to a few of you recently about abuse that you face, about comments that you face, and about times where you feel quite alone on this journey. And it truly breaks my fucking heart that people feel the need to inflict their shit on you. It honestly, it's hard to put into words because I know what that feels like, but I also feel it when I speak to you guys, when maybe it's your family members or even your partner. Maybe it's people at your workplace. Maybe it's people that you view as friends, when they don't actually ask how you are, they just inflict their shit on you. Now, what I would say with this, guys, is to actually take a moment to look at these people, the people that are causing you trouble, the people that may give you abuse, the people that may give you comments. Is it from a place of care and they don't have the education of what bodybuilding requires, and maybe they're trying to help and they care so much about you and they're finding it hard to see what you're doing? So if it is, there is those levels of communication we can offer. Ultimately, it might end up in you saying, please let me do this. Maybe they can speak with your coach. It's something that I've done with clients. You know, if their partner doesn't understand it, I jump on a Zoom and I talk to them about it. Maybe that's an option. Maybe they can listen to a podcast of mine or another podcast. I did one when we celebrated the 100th episode of communicating your prep with people around you. Is there an opportunity where you can sit down with them and say, and I had to do this with my mum, this is really getting me down. The comments you're saying, it's really affecting me. And it's causing me to feel very negative about something I'm passionate about, and lay it on the line. Literally lay it out on the line. Show them the emotion. Show them the passion. If what you're facing is from a place of someone being, let's face it, a fucking cunt, if it is, we need to look at this objectively and we need to ideally gravitate away from this. If this is someone sitting behind a computer, being a laptop warrior, sending you abuse about your physique, how you look, what you're doing, what PEDs you're using, what you're eating, all of these things, take a look at them. And maybe you can't even see their profile, right? If it's a troll on social media, but has this person got their shit in line? Is this person someone that inspires you? Is this someone that you want to be like? Is this someone that, you know, you look up to? And if it is, why? Why do you look up to them? Because if someone is causing you this negative output, but you're looking up to them, you're almost going to find yourself going into a victim mindset. Now, this might be remotely, right? This could be an athlete that you follow that says things that upset you, and not directly at you, but they maybe call stuff out that you do or you've done in the past or things like that. Is it an idea to think about, do we really need to follow that person? Do they inspire me enough to be detrimenting my own mental health? And of course, that's a decision for you to make. And another extension of this is this your coach? Is this your coach saying things to you that are out of line? Is this your coach essentially abusing you? Is this someone that's in a place of authority that is bad-mouthing you, that is bringing you down, that is making you feel like shit? Because that is not okay. It is not okay. Yes, you might be following a plan from a coach and you get it wrong, or you make a mistake, or you slip up and you tell them, and that causes a negative reaction from your coach. And for sure, a coach, if you're telling them I'll do whatever it takes and you're deviating from the plan, yes, there may be a heated discussion, or there may be, it might be quite a difficult conversation. However, you do not deserve to be spoken to like a piece of shit. And this is where we need to look at our environment and what those external pressures are. Are these people that are causing you problems? Are these people that you can gravitate away from? Is there a life without these people? And can you make steps to come away from that? To immerse in what bodybuilding can bring, guys. Bodybuilding has literally saved me. And in turn, I've saved myself. I found my passion, and that has allowed me to believe in myself and my self-worth. It's enabled me to go on this journey of self-exploration, of going to places I never even dreamt of. It's given me purpose. It's given me identity. I'm still a person. I'm still Sarah, but my passion is bodybuilding. My passion is helping others. My passion is to help you come through these challenges times. Everything I've spoke to you about today, if there's something that resonates with you, I hope that it can help hearing me talk through these things and sharing my personal anecdote. Because when we look at how long I've been bodybuilding, I've pretty much got a degree in it, right? But all joking aside, guys, what you're doing every single day for this to better yourself, please, for me, like I said, take a moment, stop what you're doing, look around and see what bodybuilding brings you. And remember, bodybuilding can save you, but it then facilitates you saving yourself. And for everyone that's reaching out at the moment, for the love that is coming to the podcast, for the community that is forming, each and every one of you, I'm eternally grateful for, because it means everything. My clients, my podcast listeners, you are my life. You are my life. And through my passion, through saving myself, I'm now at this point where I can help you guys. I can be there for you guys, and I can show you what bodybuilding can bring to an individual. And it truly, truly is epic. And today, I am grateful for all of you, for our passion, for everything we go through to be our best, the decisions we make that take us to our destiny, all of those things. We can take this moment today to thank ourselves, the universe, and for the guidance towards making our dreams reality. And if any of you guys have listened and you want to reach out, you know where I am, even if it's just to say you've enjoyed this ramble today and to connect with me. Thank you for everyone that does. It truly means the world. And of course, always, always, always know that your best is all we can ever do, guys. And it truly, truly is. That self-belief I've spoken about, it's within us all. It truly is. And it's now for you to take that opportunity to own it and start believing in yourself and your abilities. Hey!